Hey there, it's Trisha from Easy Emini Trade, and I wanted to go over Friday the 19th. I had a few emails with some questions, so I thought I would just go ahead and do a video on taking some pullbacks. And if you'd like to get more information on the setups, you can go to www.easyemintrade.com. And also, we'll be doing an evening webinar on Thursday the 25th at 8 p.m. And you can also get the information on that at the site as well. And seating is limited, so make sure to sign up early. Okay, so we have the ES on the left and we have the NQ on the right, and there were no news items on the calendar for Friday. Of course, it was quadruple witching, which of course means everything expires on Friday, so that always makes for an interesting day most of the time. I wanted to point this out. I had a couple questions from people about the setup bar here on the NQ and here on the ES. And we talk about all the time having room for it to run. And you can see that getting in under this bar here on the NQ, you don't have a lot of room below you. So for me, I'm typically going to wait to get closed under a support area and then look to take an entry. Same holds true here for the ES. If you get in here, you don't have a lot of room. Likely you could have gotten a little something out of it, and your patience would have paid off eventually, but oftentimes you wind up bouncing in these areas. These are the floor trader pivot point that you're looking at, where they're both kind of stuck at, and wouldn't have been anything that would have been interested in taking at the open. On the ES, you do have a close outside the channel on the opening bar. However, it's right at the high of the previous day. That's what this green line is. So for me, I would definitely ignore that, and I'd have to have proof that it was going to want to stay above there in order to take a trade in that first couple minutes. So that was not something I was willing to take, and that was the reason why. And once you get started moving lower and you close outside the channel on the ES, you're right at the close of the previous day. So a lot of areas that I'm just not willing to ignore. If you're willing to ignore them, then great. You could have taken it under this bar here and it would have worked out. But I will tell you that majority of the time it does not get through those areas so easily. So just something that you'll have to weigh for yourself. And of course, if you take something knowing that going in, then no problem. You know not to give it a lot of room, and you know that, okay, well, I'm going to take this and we might bounce here or stall forever. So again, totally up to you and your risk tolerance. So the trade that I took was here under this bar, and that was on the 1001 bar, and I was not interested in this bar entering in under the low of this bar, even though it closed outside the channel. It was at a strong area of support looking at previous days at 1937. So again, you weigh your risk tolerance. Obviously, if you got in under there, it would have worked. It would have gotten you in a little bit sooner. But nonetheless, this is where I was looking to get in once it closed under all of the areas of issue. And the nice thing is that we had a day that just decided to keep going in the same direction instead of chopping around, which is always nice and makes for an easier trading environment for sure. So you get in under this bar here on the NQ, and knowing that the next area of reference is the low from the previous day. So lots of room to go. Once you get your first target, you move your stop to your entry, and never looked back. And our targets on the NQ are +2, +4, and then just trail the stop. And so what you could do is, once you get your first two targets, is just move your stop to a quarter above this area. Then it starts to move lower and moves lower, move it to a quarter above this area. And also what you can do is, that this is likely going to be an area where you're going to stall or bounce because it is the low from the previous day. So what you could do is you could take your final third or final contract, however you're managing your trade, if you're exiting in stages, and then just kind of put a limit order to get out of your remaining contracts just above that area. So this way price kind of runs into it, head on, and then you're taken out rather than waiting for it to bounce and getting stopped out when you're trail stopping. So that's what I opted to do. And then of course, when doing that, you always run the risk of, if it decides to keep going lower, then you're already out, but still a nice trade even if it did continue lower. and you could always look to re-enter if that was what would happen, but that's not what happened, so didn't have to worry about it. And if somebody didn't take the entry here, then they could have waited for price to just basically pull back to the channel. They could have gotten in here, or they could have gotten in here, or they could have gotten in here. So they had plenty of opportunities to get back in, knowing that they still had plenty of room below them. And on the ES, you didn't really have an opportunity to get in until here, which was much later than the entry that I took. I'm going to say 3 or 4 minutes later. But that's the first time you get closed outside the channel, is on this bar here, and you get filled. And same issue. You know that you've got the low of the previous day, and you're looking for your targets, and then you can trail stop. This one actually broke through the low a little bit more. Obviously, came down to an area of support just about the 1154 area, and then that decided to bounce. But always so much easier to trade when we're moving lower, and that's the thing, or higher. It's just having a continuous direction. It always makes it a lot easier. And I'll point this one out here. It wasn't anything that I took. I was not willing to take it. It's getting close to lunchtime. It's a little after 11, but you do finally get closed under the low of the previous day. And so somebody wanting to take it could enter in on the NQ under this bar here, and this was at the close of the 1102 bar. But the issue for me, I mean, you do have room below you. The next area of support is 1124, 1125. But the issue for me is where we just came from. We have that large move down. And so for me, I'd want a little bit more of some sideways action or a bounce or something. But nonetheless, if somebody wanted to take it, it worked out. I think maybe for a point or two. Let's see. If you got in, you would have got in at, let's say, 28, 25, somewhere in that area. Yeah, so I mean, it worked out definitely for your first target of 2 anyway. So again, your choice. On the ES, same thing. You could have gotten in here. It's a little bit later. You get closed outside the channel. You'd want to get through this area of support, in my opinion. Again, just my opinion. And so you get closed outside the channel here, but I would say, for me, I'm always going to wait to get through the area of support and close below it. But obviously you could have gotten in here. Waiting for the area of support would have gotten you in here under this bar, and would have worked out for a very tiny profit, not very much at all. So once again, better opportunity on the NQ. And then the rest of the day is pretty quiet until just about 3:30. You could have taken something here, or here on the NQ. Again, knowing the areas that are around you. Again, it works out for a little bit. I don't trade after 3:30, and I don't trade in the afternoons on Friday, so not anything that I took, but I would just thought that I would point that out. So I was able to just take that one nice trade in the morning, and it worked out. And that's all you need. Have one decent or a couple decent trades, and end the day and hopefully the week profitable, and live to trade another day. So I hope that that helps, and if you want more information, you can go to the site www.easyemintrade.com.